If you find somebody that doesn't like Ken Griffey Jr., they don't like Santa Claus, they don't like Halloween, that's the only way to describe them.
There's nobody like Ken Griffey Jr. since then.
He listened to rap. He wore gold chains.
He brought to baseball what Jordan brought to basketball.
But that legacy of his wasn't passed down to this generation, and I couldn't figure out why.
Once you're on the field, in between those white lines, it's just you.
American Prodigy Season 2, now available. Brought to you by Coors Light, made to chill.
Hello and welcome to the fucking Tennis Podcast. I'm your goddamn host, Nick Amell.
Holy shit. Well, I'm Brandon. I didn't know we were coming in hot.
We're coming in hot. Well, I came in hot. You came in, I don't know, lukewarm at best.
Okay.
Show me some attitude. Show me some fire.
People are coming to us for attitude?
They come to us because they want to hear you be sassy.
I don't think they're coming to me for tude, but if you're here for tude, you might get a little tude today. We've got a little more raucous subject today. Before we get to it,
Okay, well,
one of us has to tell them how the show works. Why don't you do that?
I'll do that. This show, it's simple. One of us brings a top 10-ish list. Brandon brought it today. I don't know what it is, and once he tells me what it is, I'm going to attempt to guess items 1 through 10 on that list. And you're welcome to play along at home.
Today's list is Nancy Reagan's worst fucking nightmare.
What?
It is your elementary and middle school dare officers' worst fucking nightmare. Today, we're talking about the most popular recreational drugs.
This is great because I just did all the fucking drugs in my house right before we hit record. A mix of them all at once. So we'll see if I fucking survive long enough to guess.
I'd
all
be
10.
surprised if any of the things on this list were in your home.
You don't fucking say.
You're not much of a drug fiend.
Hot take?
Today, you're going to be guessing the most commonly used recreational drugs in America. Now, this is going to help you a little bit in your list guessing, but I think it's also fairly obvious that legal drugs have the highest recreational use, but there are plenty of illegal substances in this list. And most adults have tried some form of recreational drug because it's fun to get fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
That came from Wikipedia. Certain areas of the country are experiencing an epidemic of opioid addiction, which is not fun.
Depends on who you're asking.
The data from this comes from the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Data Archive. It's based on the percentage of people aged 12 and over. 12 and over.
What?
Based of the percentage of people aged 12 and over who used the drug recreationally in 2015.
How do they gather that data? Because if they're illegal drugs...
Survey people there's some very brave and honest 12-year-olds.
You know those drug houses? Like they're in Breaking Bad too. You know how Jesse's house turns into like a fucking drug house? What do they call that?
Like a drug den?
Yeah, you just got to get a surveyor in there.
They call it a shithole.
They just stand at the door and survey people as they come and go. Hey, what are you fucking gonna be taking tonight? And they write it down.
A guy with a clipboard?
Mm-hmm. And he's wearing a suit.
People on drugs are notoriously unreliable for answering survey questions, honestly.
Well, I don't know why you have to disparage all of our drug-taking listeners out there.
I'm fairly certain we've got a fair share of drug-taking listeners. So we're going to talk about the top 10 today, although I do have a list of the top 25 in front of me, should you feel froggy and want to leap into the deep end of drugs.
Always.
We could start by naming some recreational drugs that would not be in the top 10.
Clarify real quick. This does include both legal prescription drugs and illegal drugs?
Yes.
And it's the U.S. only?
Yeah, this is just data for the U.S.
And it's current?
Current as of 2015. I think there were more current years in the data set, but I got this from a web page where someone had paid for the data, and I wasn't about to pay for the data.
You could expense it on our corporate tennis credit card.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so listen, I don't know how cool this is going to make me sound, but you said it yourself. I'm not a drug fiend, so I might not actually do so great on this. But
you're not even cool.
I'm a little cool. Some circles.
Well,
in the uncool circles. Okay, let me just name a few that aren't as common anymore, I don't think. How about acid?
Well, acid is actually number 10 on the list.
Knew it.
You dumb bastard. Yeah, LSD is number 10 on the list. 1.07% of adults used LSD recreationally in the year of our Lord, 2015.
Okay, that 1 year. Okay.
Now, LSD stands for, there's going to be a lot of pronunciations today, lysergic acid diethylamide, also known
I thought it was Latter-day Saints.
colloquially known as acid, is a hallucinogenic drug. Its effects typically include altered thoughts, feelings, and awareness of one's surroundings. Many users have visual or auditory hallucinations. The effects begin within half an hour and can last for up to 20 hours, which is way too many fucking hours.
God, that's fucked up.
It's used mainly as a recreational drug or for spiritual reasons. LSD is, I believe, the only item in this top 10 list that does not appear to be addictive.
Huh.
Now, adverse psychiatric reactions are possible, such as anxiety, paranoia, and delusions. You can also have distressing flashbacks in spite of no further use, a condition called hallucinogen persisting perception disorder. Norm Macdonald has a great joke about what a great deal that is. A flashback to, he's like, let me get this straight. I'm going to buy a drug now, take the drug, get high. 20 years from now, I get high again. It's a good deal. Now,
okay,
it's virtually unheard of to overdose on LSD. On extremely rare occasions, however, death can be the results of accidents or reckless behavior. I think we've all heard the urban legend of someone taking LSD and thinking they can fly and jumping off of a balcony.
Yeah.
As of 2017, about 10% of people in the U.S. have used LSD at some point in their lives,
Wow.
while 0.7% have used it in the last year.
Well, how does that strike you? That strikes me as really
10%?
high. 10%?
It does seem a little higher than I would have expected. I have not tried it, although I would. I just never had the opportunity.
You don't have cool friends.
I guess not. Have you tried LSD?
No.
Well, it was most popular in the 1960s to the 1980s, so it has waned a little bit, although it's making a bit of a comeback. Now, we don't have any firsthand knowledge, but I've seen it done in the movies.
Yeah.
And it's either swallowed with a dropper or held under the tongue. Sometimes it's sold on blotter paper, and less commonly in tablets or in gelatin squares. I think I've seen in a movie too, someone put a dropper on a sugar cube. I think that was maybe in Forrest Gump. Someone was like, here you go, expand your mind, Jenny.
Mm-hmm.
And they gave her a sugar cube with some acid dropped on it.
Stupid question. Alert. Was acid invented?
Yes.
Or rediscovered in the 60s?
No. Actually, I'm about to tell you how LSD was discovered. Albert Hofmann, a Swiss chemist, first synthesized LSD on November 16th, 1938. He was intending to obtain a respiratory and circulatory stimulant. So he was looking to make a medicine that would help stimulate someone who's sick, their respiratory or circulatory system. On April 19th, 1943, which is now known in the acid community as Bicycle Day, I'll tell you why. Albert Hofmann, the chemist, accidentally ingested 0.25 milligrams or 250 micrograms of LSD. Less than 1 hour later, he experienced sudden and intense changes in perception. He started wigging out, and he asked his laboratory assistant to take him home. And they lived in Basel, Germany.
Love Basel.
Okay. They made the journey by bicycle. On the way, Hoffman's condition rapidly deteriorated as he struggled with feelings of anxiety, alternating in his beliefs that the next-door neighbor was a malevolent witch, that he was going insane, and that the LSD had poisoned him. So then the house doctor arrived, and he said, you got nothing physically wrong with you, except your pupils are incredibly dilated. Other than that, you're fine. So after Hoffmann, being a scientist, felt reassured, his terror began to give way to a sense of good fortune and enjoyment. As he later wrote, little by he's Swiss German, yeah. Little by little, I could begin to enjoy the unprecedented colors and plays of shapes that persisted behind my closed eyes. kaleidoscopic, fantastic images surged in on me, alternating, variegated, opening and closing themselves in circles and spirals, exploding in colored fountains, rearranging.
You sound not German, but you sound like the Middle Eastern guy in 40-Year-Old Virgin.
Oh, guy who's going through these butthole pleasures. He's a rusty trombone. Yeah, man, it's hard. It's really hard to keep doing that. Anyway, he rode his bicycle home. He accidentally touched the acid, and it fucked him up real bad. He proved to him he made a big discovery. He thought this was a very significant discovery. He said this is a psychoactive, how do you say this shit? Psychoactive substance with extraordinary potency, capable of causing significant shifts of consciousness in incredibly low doses. I foresee the drug as a powerful psychiatric tool. Because of its intense and introspective nature, he couldn't imagine anyone using it recreationally.
Okay, asshole.
That's because he was a fucking square.
Yeah.
Bicycle days increasing.
This is Nazi Germany, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. God, what?
This is 1943.
No wonder he had a fucking bad trip on his bicycle home. It smells like death in the air. It's hard to ignore. But if you try, butthole pleasures, this rusty trombone. It's hard to keep him straight, man. So that's acid.
You sound just like that guy. I'm sorry. Okay, so acid. Big in the 60s, huh?
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to say next, same arena as LSD, which is PCP.
Okay, angel dust? You wouldn't get wet, baby?
That's just like a more intense one,
I guess so. It's not in the top 25.
Well, how about, this has got to be high, middle of the list, and that's that crack cocaine.
Cocaine, including crack cocaine, is number 6 on the list.
Knew it.
2.19% of adults have done a little toot-toot.
I've always hated
enjoyed
that word for it.
Little booger sugar, also known as coke.
Yes.
A strong stimulant made from coca leaves. It's most frequently used as a recreational drug. It is commonly snorted, inhaled as smoke, or dissolved and injected into a vein. Cocaine use leads to increases in alertness, feelings of well-being and euphoria, increased energy and motor activity, and feelings of competence and sexuality.
These are all good things.
Yeah, all of this sounds great. The effects begin within seconds to minutes of use and last between 5 and 90 minutes. That's a perfect amount of time for my recreational drug purposes. Now, cocaine sold on the street is commonly mixed with local anesthetics, cornstarch, quinine, or sugar, which can result in additional toxicity. And I believe now it's also cut with fucking like fentanyl and shit.
Yeah.
So maybe that's a good reason to not do it.
This is Mrs. Reagan's worst nightmare. Now.
Yeah. She said just say no. And I say just say yes at least once.
Uh-huh. You listed a lot of good things there, but it's bad for your health over time, yeah?
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't put the bad effects.
Okay.
I kind of hoped those were just well known. On some of these I did put the bad effects, but yeah, it can it can eat out your nose. It can literally destroy the infrastructure inside your nose. Have you seen do you know who the comedian Artie Lang is from Howard Stern, and he was in Dirty Work with Norm Macdonald?
I'm looking him up and I do recognize him, yes.
Artie Lang's nose collapsed from cocaine use and maybe from snorting heroin as well. I think heroin might also destroy your nose.
I see it. It is a sight to see for sure if you haven't seen it. Artie Lang knows.
Cocaine is named after the South American coca plant from which it is isolated. The plant's leaves have been used by the Peruvians since ancient times. Cocaine was first isolated from the leaves in 1860. Since 1961, the International Single Convention on Narcotic Drugs, which I'd never heard of before, has required countries to make recreational use of cocaine a crime. Now, cocaine is fairly common. I don't think you've put any cocaine into your face or nose.
No toot here.
I tried it one time a long, long time ago. I was a young buck. Not for me.
Why don't you describe it, your experience for us?
Well,
briefly?
I had been drinking, floating the river and drinking beer all day. So I was already not in any See, like if I was going to take cocaine now, I would make sure I was stone cold sober before I started so I could really get a full taste for it. So from what I remember, I just had, more energy to talk to strangers for a little while at the end of an evening of drinking.
Maybe this podcast has filled that void for you because all you do now is talk to strangers here.
I felt like I was a little more peppy.
Yeah.
So it can be in the form of a fine white powder, which is what most of us are familiar with from TV and movies and stuff, or I guess from just life. It's bitter to the taste. When inhaled or injected, it causes a numbing effect. Crack cocaine is a smokable form of cocaine made into small rocks by processing cocaine with sodium bicarbonate or baking soda and water. Crack cocaine is referred to as crack because of the crackling sounds it makes when heated.
They should really rename the Rice Krispies, the Snap Crackle Pop. Should just rename it Crack.
Or call Crack Crackle.
Now that's a hell of an idea.
It sounds cuter.
We should pitch that to whoever names these things.
He's just smoking crackle.
It does make it
Kinda
sound
cute.
much less severe.
Cocaine, also good Clapton song.
Sure.
And that's it. That's cocaine.
Okay. Well, some new drugs are coming to mind here. When you were talking about the smoking it in a pipe, that made me think of our good old friends meth. So I'm going to guess meth is number 4.
No, methamphetamine is number 12 on the list. It's not in the top 10.
It's less than cocaine, huh?
Yes.
I thought meth was like the poor man's cocaine, which meant it would be much more accessible.
No, I think it's just cocaine is used so much more.
Yeah, okay. Color me surprised.
There are other uppers in the top 10, but not methamphetamine. Other stimulants, I should say.
What's that really famous one? The one that was in Trump's drawer.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about, but it's not in here either. Whatever.
It's the cold medicine. Sudafed?
Sudafed. Nah, it's not in here.
Yeah. Okay, how about heroin?
No, heroin is number 17 on the list. It's an opioid.
Okay. All right. Okay, well, I'm going to guess marijuana now. And I'm not going to guess it's number 1, though, because I think a legal prescription drug is going to be number 1. So I'm going to say marijuana is 2 or 3.
Marijuana is number 3.
Knew it. Mary Jane at number 3.
Legalize it.
Legalize it.
18%.
Which they should.
18% of adults have rocked the ganj in the last year.
That's climbed way up.
Marijuana is also known as cannabis. It's a psychoactive drug from the cannabis plant, primarily used for medical and recreational purposes.
Mm-hmm.
Here we go. Tetrahydrocannabinol. THC is the main psychoactive component of cannabis, which is one of the 483 known compounds in the plant, including at least 65 other cannabinoids. Cannabis can be used by smoking, vaporizing within food, or as an extract. Now, there's a whole section of this on Wikipedia on this next point. It says, what's from da earth is of ja greatest worth.
What? Come again?
It's a plant, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't knock it.
Yeah, it's funny. I was just thinking about that. If you are a religious person, how can you knock cannabis when it's grown in the earth? What other purpose does it serve?
The good Lord made it for you to smoke of it, or to harvest all the keef and mash it into a little keef ball and smoke that. The Lord intended that.
Yeah.
Cannabis has various mental and physical effects, which include euphoria, altered states of mind and sense of time, difficulty concentrating, impaired short-term memory, body movement, impaired short-term memory, relaxation, and increase in appetite.
Can confirm that last one.
I purposely said impaired short-term memory twice.
Hilarious.
Onset of effects is felt within minutes when it's smoked, and about 30 to 60 minutes when it's cooked or eaten. The effects last 2 to 6 hours, depending on the amount used. At high doses, mental effects can include anxiety, delusions, hallucinations, panic, paranoia, or psychosis. I've never seen any of that shit. I've seen a little bit of anxiety, a little bit of panic.
That's what usually happens to me.
You get antsy in the pantsy.
Yeah. I remember the last time I did it. It was actually, you gave it to me. Remember?
That's right.
When you...
Fucking the devil's temptress here.
Yeah, and that night I felt like I was having a heart attack. So I don't know what you spiked that shit with. You were trying to kill me, weren't you?
Nothing but Oklahoma's finest. Now, while cannabis plants have been grown since at least the 3rd millennium BC, evidence suggests that it was being smoked for psychoactive effects at least 2,500 years ago in the Pamir Mountains. The earliest evidence was found at a cemetery in what is today western China, close to the tri-point with Tajikistan, didn't know that was a real place, and Afghanistan. Since the early 20th century, cannabis has been subject to legal restrictions. Possession, use, cultivation of cannabis is illegal in most countries of the world. Because the man doesn't want you to sit around with your friends listening to music and talking about how bad you're getting screwed by the man.
How many states are legal now for recreational in the U.S.?
I don't know.
I feel like it's like half or so by
now,
right?
It's a good bunch.
You know, so they were smoking this, 2,500 plus years ago?
Mm-hmm.
How did they look at that plant and say, let's fucking put it in our mouth and then light it on fire?
There must have been like one guy in every village who they were like, okay, let's have him smoke a little bit of everything and see what happens. So like one day they're like, let's have him smoke this. The next day they're having him smoke that. They're keeping an eye on him, seeing how he feels. And when they find something that he's like, all right, I'm feeling pretty fucked up, then they try it too. Every town has a village drug dumpster, man.
Deja vu a little bit. I think we've touched on this, but this reminds me of like a lot of really common things we take for granted now had to start somewhere. So like smoking the first marijuana plant, eating the first egg that came out of a chicken, fucking yanking on the first teat of a cow to get milk and then drinking it.
Well, you know the cow happened because people saw the calf sucking out of it and they were like, wait a second. What if I just got on my hands and knees, crawl over there real slow?
Oh, baby.
Sucked on that teat and drank that milk myself.
Yeah, I guess you're right. But, you know, I think about sex too. I mean, I know that's like an instinctual thing somewhat, but like think about the first people to ever have sex. Kind of a weird thing, right? I'll just stick this in there and I'll see what happens.
You know, the other person's got to be like, what the This is an invasion of my space.
I don't think that person had much say in it, unfortunately.
Probably not. We better move on from marijuana.
So I looked real quick. 16 states as of today are recreational legal in the U.S.
Oh.
And the District of Columbia. 36 states are legal for medical, including good old Oklahoma. All right,
God bless them.
That was Mary Jane at 3.
Yep.
Mushrooms?
No, mushrooms aren't in the top 25.
All right, I think this might be number 1, but I'm running out of guesses. That's OxyContin.
No, OxyContin is not number 1. It is number 7.
Okay.
Oxycodone, most commonly known as OxyContin. Number 7 on the list, it's been used by 2.05% of people. So more than LSD, like almost twice as many people have used LSD. Now, I didn't know a whole bunch about the different opioids. So I learned, and we're all about to learn here. Oxycodone is an opioid medication used for treatment of moderate to severe pain and a common drug of abuse. Onset of pain relief typically begins within 15 minutes, lasts for up to 6 hours with the immediate release formulation. The side effects include euphoria. It's like, okay, hold on a second. Common side effects. Let me start it one more time because it makes me laugh every time. The first thing is great and all the rest are terrible. Common side effects include euphoria, constipation, nausea, vomiting, loss of appetite, drowsiness, dizziness, itching, dry mouth, and sweating.
Itching and sweating aren't that bad. I mean, those are kind of like...
You know, the euphoria has got to be real if you can put up with all the constipation, nausea, vomiting, all that other shit on top.
I mean...
Severe side effects include addiction, dependence, hallucinations, respiratory depression, which is a reduction in breathing, bradycardia, and a low blood pressure.
Is the breathing, you mentioned depression of the lungs or some shit. Is that permanent? Or like while you're using it?
No, I don't know.
This is a depressing episode now that I think about it. So we do want to extend a special shout out to everyone recovering or dealing with drug addiction.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. I guess maybe we have a trigger warning or something if someone's like struggling with addiction. I guess when they see drugs in the title, they're going to be like, maybe I ought to skip this one.
Yeah. We mean well.
But yeah, anybody can get hooked on oxycodone pretty easily.
Yeah.
All of the opioids that are prescribed by doctors or, following a procedure are incredibly addictive.
By design, some might say.
Old lady breaks her hip, fractures her hip, goes into the hospital, and ends up 90-year-old woman who's hooked on pain pills. Yeah, it can happen to anybody.
They should just start giving the old woman cocaine in the hospital, get her addicted to that instead.
I mean, it would be exciting.
Yeah, it'd be exciting for us.
Oxycodone is 50% more powerful than hydrocodone. And my last note here, hydrocodone, the personal notes of Adolf Hitler's physician, Theodor Morell, indicate that Hitler received repeated injections of something called Eucadol, which is oxycodone, and Scopfidol, as well as Dolatin, codeine, and morphine less frequently. So yeah, Hitler used to get oxycodone injections on the reg.
We all know he probably had a drug addiction of some kind.
He was partying.
Did he have some sort of injury that he would use as an excuse for that?
Well, I don't know.
Why get injected for that shit by a doctor? I guess maybe to ensure it's a safe amount. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Fucking Adolf Hitler. He's fucking dead. All right, how about morphine? You just mentioned it.
No, morphine is number 19. Morphine may be more difficult to get a hold of.
For recreation, at least, because it's pretty common in hospitals.
Mm-hmm.
How about speed?
Well, there's a lot of things which
Adderall.
Speed could fall under. Okay, so you said Adderall, and that's the one I was going to give you based on that. Yes, Adderall is number 5. Amphetamine,
Knew it.
Or Adderall most commonly, is number 5. It's used by 2.8% of adults. They're the trade names for a combination drug that contains 4 salts of amphetamines. Now, it's used in the treatment of attention deficit and hyperactivity disorder and narcolepsy. It's also used as an athletic performance enhancer, cognitive enhancer, appetite suppressant, and recreationally as an aphrodisiac and euphoriant. It is a central nervous system stimulant of the phenethylamine class. This sounds fucking great.
Yeah.
It can make you better at sports and shit.
It suppress your appetite so you don't eat as much?
Now, at therapeutic doses, Adderall causes emotional and cognitive effects such as euphoria, change in sex drive, increased wakefulness, and improved cognitive control. At these doses, it induces physical effects such as faster reaction time, fatigue resistance, and increased muscle strength. It turns you into fucking Captain America.
Yeah, what? Okay.
It has been banned. Adderall has been banned by the NFL, the Major League Baseball Association, the NBA, the NCAA. In such leagues as the NFL, there's a very rigorous process required to obtain an exemption to this rule, even when the athlete has been medically prescribed the drug by their physician.
What is the prescription purpose again?
Well, it's used to treat attention deficit and hyperactive disorder and narcolepsy.
Yeah.
I would imagine that if you were in the NFL and you have attention deficit and hyperactivity disorder, like especially if you are like making a bunch of money and stuff, you definitely have got to like take your meds to stay like focused and make good decisions and shit. So yeah, I can see how that would be a huge problem. Nah. In contrast, much larger doses of Adderall can impair cognitive control, cause rapid muscle breakdown, provoke panic attacks, or induce psychosis. And that's bad.
Just the word psychosis scares me.
Psychosis sounds like something you don't...
Right?
It sounds like falling down a crazy hole that you can't get out of.
Psychosis to me, I just think of like a black octopus engulfing your brain and making it crazy.
Yeah. Adderall has a high potential for misuse as a recreational drug. The tablets can either be swallowed, crushed and snorted, or dissolved in water and injected. Many post-secondary students have reported using Adderall for study purposes in different parts of the developed world. When I was in college, Adderall must not have been like invented yet or widespread. I don't remember hearing anybody ever mentioning Adderall.
Me either.
It's only been the last 10 years or so that it's sort of on my radar as
something you're dying to try.
No, something that like college kids use to stay up and study. Although there is an episode of The Sopranos in season 1 where Meadow gets meth from Christopher so she and Hunter can stay up all night studying for the SATs.
Sopranos, everybody.
And that was back in 99, so It's been a thing for a while, I guess. That's Adderall.
Hello, everyone. I'm Carol Ann.
And I'm Matt, and we are the hosts of Boozed and Confused.
Boozed and Confused dives into the weird topics that you never knew existed.
Join us every Monday to drink and discuss all things unknown, unexpected, otherworldly, and just plain strange.
Each week, we will take you on a journey to learn about things like time travel and who John Teeter is,
Weird history like the New England vampire panic,
conspiracy theories like Katy Perry being John Benet Ramsey, or aliens.
or the paranormal like ghosts that haunt the White House.
Listen to Boozed and Confused every Monday wherever you get your podcasts.
See you then.
The economy is made up of real people doing real stuff, and it affects everything. Which you obviously know since you're a real person doing real stuff. Marketplace is here to help you get smart about everything beyond the what of the day's business and economic news. We dig into the how and the why with the real people driving our economy. From big tech and interest rates to small businesses and what's happening at the Fed. Marketplace breaks it all down so you don't have to. Listen to Marketplace wherever you get your podcasts.
You mentioned a few things there that made me think of other drugs. You mentioned the sex drive. I mean, probably not on this, but I'll say it, like Viagra?
No, it's not on here.
How about like steroids or human growth hormone?
No, those aren't. I don't think those are used for recreational purposes.
Yeah, maybe so. Okay, how about the date drug? What is that?
No, there's no Rohypnol in the top 25.
Okay. Well, I'm running out here. Is number one prescription?
No. Out of the top 10 remaining, you have you have numbers 9 and 8, 4, 2, and 1.
Yeah.
2 of them are prescription drugs. 1 of them is an illegal street drug. And 2 of them are totally illegal drugs that you may not be thinking of as a drug because they are legal.
Like over the counter even?
Yeah, as long as you're 18 or 21.
Oh, is it like the nasal sprays?
No.
What is that called?
No, these are number 1 and number 2. What would be more popular to use recreationally? I think you must be thinking
alcohol?
Yeah, alcohol. That's number 1, baby.
Okay. I mean, now that we say it, it seems so obvious, but most people, I don't think alcohol comes to mind when you think of drugs. But
you're right. No, I guess it should be recreational substances. But don't kid yourselves, people who fucking look down your nose at pot but drink booze. Alcohol is most def a drug. Alcohol is number 1 on the list. It's used by 61% of adults. It's a psychoactive drug.
Yeah.
Alcohol is a psychoactive drug. It's the active ingredient in drinks such as beer, wine, and distilled spirits or hard liquor. It's one of the oldest and most common recreational substances, causing the characteristic effects of alcohol intoxication or drunkenness. Among other effects, alcohol produces happiness and euphoria, decreased anxiety, increased sociability, sedation, impairment of cognitive, memory, motor, and sensory functions, all pretty fucking important, and generalized depression of central nervous system function.
Yeah.
Short-term adverse effects include generalized impairment of neurocognitive function, dizziness, nausea, vomiting, and hangover-like symptoms. Been there.
Yeah.
Alcohol can be addictive to humans as an alcohol use disorder and can result in dependence and withdrawal. Now, even during my college days or young adult days, I'm happy to say I never had, despite experiencing many hangovers in my day, never had to fight the monkey on my back of alcohol. Been lucky.
Have you ever been blackout drunk to where you don't remember anything?
Yes.
Okay.
Not
because I have.
Yeah. Maybe a couple times in college, and then later when we talk about another drug that's on this list, I'll talk about the last time that I definitely blacked out and was like, oh shit, you got to stay on top of some of these things. So booze, I don't want to talk about all the bad long-term effects of booze. We all know what happened to Larry Hagman. Fucks up your liver, you die.
Yeah. I was going to say though, I mean, I know I'm not saying anything that hasn't been said elsewhere and it's not profound or whatever, but when you just take a step back and consider everything you said, alcohol has the same, active ingredient that fucks with your brain and shit, just like drugs. It is a drug. The only reason it's legal and like marijuana isn't is because alcohol has been normalized for so long as a cultural, societal thing. You cannot, with a straight face, say that alcohol is safer than marijuana or healthier or whatever, however you want to phrase it. If alcohol is legal, then there is no reason marijuana should not also be legal in the same way.
Fucking preach it.
I mean, sorry.
I'm going to start doing soul claps back here.
What are soul claps? Is that like a booty clap?
No, like...
Because I know you like to booty clap.
Hyping you up back here. Fucking taking down the man on weed.
Well, I'm sorry, do you have more?
On alcohol? Yeah, I'm getting to the best part.
Oh, okay.
So alcohol, or ethanol, can be taken orally, by inhalation. Did you know that you can go to like... They have these bars where you can go and like gently inhale booze and get drunk?
But why?
I don't know. I don't know.
Just drink it.
I don't know. So you can be taken orally by inhalation, rectally, or by injection.
Oh, baby.
Rectally.
Yeah, how many times have you done that?
I've never done it. I've never done an alcohol enema, also known colloquially as butt chugging.
Really? Are you sure you've never done butt chugging?
I've never done it.
Are you dreaming that you never did it?
I've never done the act of introducing alcohol into the rectum and colon via the anus, i.e., as an enema.
I don't think we're buying it.
And this method of alcohol consumption can be dangerous and even deadly.
How so?
Because it leads to faster intoxication since the alcohol is absorbed directly into the bloodstream and bypasses the body's ability to reject the toxin by vomiting. You can't vomit out of your asshole. It's too late.
Well, I mean, some might say you can kind of pseudo-vomit there, but I get your point.
So 2 reported techniques specific to alcohol enemas. You can insert into the rectum an alcohol-soaked tampon.
Why are people doing this, Brandon? Like, what is this?
Which I believe is called gurling.
Just drink it.
Or you can tube, using a tube connected into a funnel into which alcohol is poured, also known as a beer bong. Actually, I've used a beer bong before. At the other end of the tube, one end of the tube is a funnel. The other end of the tube is your mouth, not your asshole.
Well, tomato.
Now, the ancient Maya ritually administered enemas of alcohol as an entheogen, sometimes adding other psychoactive substances seeking to reach a state of ecstasy.
Well, I think they achieved it.
Some Mayan guy laying in the middle of the temple naked. He's like, hey, you know what guys would really make me reach a state of ecstasy? Grab that tube over there. I'm going to put my knees behind my shoulders.
What tube? Or do they even have handy?
Actually, they used syringes of gourds and clay were used to inject the fluid. So you get a...
What? How do they even... You know, we don't even fucking know how they built the pyramids, but we know this.
Stick that gourd in my ass.
And, you know, I have to wonder... Okay, that answered my question, I think. I was going to ask, is there a practical reason for butt chugging other than, like, it's a funny thing to do at a party?
You know, reaching a state of ecstasy.
Yeah, okay. That's why you do it.
In May 2004, a 58-year-old man from Lake Jackson, Texas, died after his wife administered an alcohol enema of sherry. It was sherry. It's not known if the man reached a state of ecstasy.
No.
But in total, the man is thought to have been given at least 3 liters of sherry.
Oh my God.
By
his wife. Talk about a fucking weird Friday night.
3 liters is... You remember when they used to, I don't know if they still do, sell pop, like soda pop in a fucking 3-liter big old fat bottle? Can you imagine taking any liquid of that amount into your asshole, let alone sherry?
I'll tell you. If peanut butter was water,
oh my God,
you could do it that way. But we don't have to get into that.
You might not be surprised to know that this man suffered from alcoholism. No. And he had difficulty ingesting alcohol orally because he had a painful throat ailment. So his wife was indicted on a charge of negligent homicide.
Yeah.
But prosecutors dropped the charges due to insufficient evidence. I guess it was all up his ass.
Bravo.
Also, there's another guy Another dude, a 52-year-old man. I guess once you reach your 50s, you're looking to like...
You got to get the fire back in your life.
It takes more and more to reach that state of ecstasy. Bigger gourds. Anyway, this 52-year-old guy used an enema bag filled with white wine. Took it as a self-administered enema and it killed him. He was found dead with a nozzle still inserted in his anus, connected to an enema bag that hung from a coat rack next to his bed.
Oh my God. Imagine that. Imagine having to go to that guy's kids who are like adults and his wife, his mother and father, if they're still alive. Well, I'm sorry to report that your father has passed away. What happened? Was it a car accident? Was he murdered?
He was butt chugging. Yeah, Dad, he wrestled with his demons his whole life. And ultimately, Dad's demons shoved a nozzle up his ass and filled him full of white wine.
It's amazing how quickly it kills you, too.
Yeah.
Like it was still in him.
Yep.
So where does it go in there?
Into your bloodstream.
In your body. Okay.
That's it. That's all I got on alcohol. Once I got to butt chugging, I was like, we don't need any more notes. This is perfect.
You know how you said that the ancient Mayans did butt chugging for the ecstasy, the expanding their mind, you might say?
For the lulz?
Do you think it's fair to say that our listeners right now, they come to this show for knowledge and fun facts and trivia. They're looking to expand their minds.
Yeah.
Are they butt chugging through their ears to their brains?
They're butt chugging knowledge and yucks.
Yeah. Well, speaking of knowledge and yucks, how about cigarettes at number 2?
Tobacco. I'll give you tobacco.
Oh, yeah, you fucking will, because that is...
Yeah. Number 2 is tobacco. 31% of adults are enjoying a smoky treat now and then.
Yeah.
Tobacco is the general term for any product prepared from the cured leaves of the tobacco plant. Tobacco contains the highly addictive stimulant alkaloid nicotine. Now, dried tobacco leaves are mainly used for smoking in cigarettes and cigars, as well as pipes and shishas. They can also be consumed as snuff, chewing tobacco, dipping tobacco, and snooze.
Wait, what's the last one?
Snooze. Snooze is like a newer thing.
What's that?
It's a little pouch of tobacco that is made in a way where you don't have to spit, which to me sounds just as disgusting as not spitting.
I don't know about that one. Snooze?
I'm going to have to pass.
Hit the snooze button on that one.
Have you smoked a cigarette in your day?
Of course.
You smoked a cigar?
Yes.
Did you pretend it was a big black dick?
Plead the fifth.
Have you smoked out of a pipe?
Yes.
Have you ever tried dipping?
No, and I never will.
I have tried dipping. It's gross.
No offense to all the dippers out there listening.
Tobacco use is a cause or risk factor for many diseases, especially those affecting the heart, liver, and lungs, as well as many cancers. In 2008, the World Health Organization, which can we trust these fuckers now?
Trump said no.
Yeah, Trump said no. Named tobacco use as the world's single greatest preventable cause of death. I believe it, but it looks super cool.
It does look cool. It is funny that everyone from age, like 5 and up, or maybe like everyone on Earth knows that smoking is bad for you. And smoking, you can't even it's not on TV, it's not in commercials, it's just in fucking gas stations and shit. But millions of people are still smoking it. Fascinating.
Do you agree that, not with everyone, but in certain people, it does kind of look cool? Gives you something to do.
I'm thinking Matthew McConaughey in True Detective Season 1. Nothing ever looks as tasty in life as Matthew McConaughey sucking down those cigarettes.
For the season 1 of True Detective and all 6 seasons of Mad Men.
Mad Men, yeah.
It makes smoking look like such fucking, give me that smoky, tasty treat.
Yeah. I do like a good stogie every now and then.
Now, speaking of enemas.
My favorite subject?
Tobacco smoke enemas.
What?
The Mayans aren't the only ones sticking stuff up their asses. The indigenous peoples of North America used to make tobacco smoke enemas to stimulate respiration, which, if you need me to breathe, you're going to the wrong hole if you're blowing smoke up my ass.
Well, it just proves that humans will put anything and everything in their ass.
They would inject the smoke with a rectal tube. Later, Europeans saw this and they were like, well, fucking great idea. Let's emulate that. And Europeans created tobacco resuscitation kits consisting of a pair of bellows. You know what bellows are? It's that kind of accordion style thing. You squeeze it together and it blows out air.
Okay, yeah, right.
Use it on an old-timey fireplace.
Yeah.
It consisted of a pair of bellows and a tube And they were provided by the Royal Humane Society of London and placed at various points along the Thames River. So, like, if you were walking down foggy London town and you fainted, someone, some active citizen, some helpful citizen on the street might be like, holy shit, get the tobacco resuscitation kit. Get this guy's pants down. Put his knees up by his ears. Get this tube up his ass and start blowing.
This episode, I mean, I'm not even going to title this episode when I publish it as like recreational drugs. I'm just going to call it butt talk or something
chugging.
Because top 10 things people put
Once
up their
I was
butts.
looking into drug and found out that people were putting it up their butt, that's the road I went down.
Yeah, no, I'm proud of you.
Tobacco was recognized by Europeans as medicine soon after it was first imported from the New World, and tobacco smoke was used by Western medical practitioners as a tool against cold and drowsiness. They would do stupid shit like blow tobacco smoke in your ear if you had a fucking ear infection. All that made me wonder, is that where the phrase blowing smoke up someone's ass comes from?
Yeah.
Once they figured out that like blowing smoke up someone's ass did absolutely nothing for them medically.
Might give them a tingly sensation.
Right, but then did they use that for the phrase where you're, giving someone useless information?
Yeah. I'd say it's a safe bet.
So there you go. That's tobacco. Now remaining, you've got numbers 9, 8, and 5. And like I said, 2 of them are prescription drugs that come in a pill form. The other one is a street drug, and I'll give you a hint. It often comes in a pill form. And we've also mentioned one of the names for that drug, that street drug, many times tonight.
Speed? We covered speed, right?
When we were talking about reaching a state of...
Ecstasy. Oh, ecstasy.
Yeah, the drug ecstasy.
Yeah,
X,
right, of course.
Or E, or Molly.
Mm-hmm.
MDMA is number 9 on the list. Number 9, 1.5% of adults have rolled. I have not rolled. I've not done E or Molly.
Because you're a lame-o.
When I was in college, it was called ecstasy or X.
Yeah. X gonna give it to you.
I think it's called like E or Molly.
Yeah.
So I'm going to try to say the name for it. It's got a crazy name. 3,4-methylenedeoxymethamphetamine. Now, the methamphetamine part I know.
Why do they even do that? Why do they do that? Seriously.
I took chemistry in high school, and I do vaguely remember that there is some logic in these ridiculous names, but I can't tell you. I can't pronounce it. That's why we call it MDMA, ecstasy, or Molly, a psychoactive drug primarily used for recreational purposes. The desired effects include altered sensations, increased energy, empathy, as well as pleasure. When taken by mouth, effects begin 30 to 45 minutes and last from 3 to 6 hours. MDMA was first developed in 1912 by Merck. Can you imagine somebody fucking rolling on the Titanic?
It probably happened. All kinds of weird shit happened on the Titanic that we'll never know about because they all died.
Yeah. It was used to enhance psychotherapy beginning in the 1970s and became popular as a street drug in the 80s. It's commonly associated with dance parties, raves, and electronic dance music.
That's your scene, right, raves?
Yeah.
You're known for your raving.
I've never been to a rave. I don't think I would have. I think if I was on MDMA, I would have a good time, but I'm afraid to do MDMA.
Me too. When does it graduate from just like a party or a good time to a rave?
I think it depends on how many bracelets you're wearing. In the US, as of 2017, about 7% of people have used MDMA at some point in their lives, and 0.9% say they used it in the last year. The short-term adverse effects include grinding of the teeth, which is something I just learned in the last few years here, blurred vision, sweating, and a rapid heartbeat. And extended use can also lead to addiction, memory problems, paranoia, and difficulty sleeping.
Blurred vision and memory problems are enough for me to never want to try it.
Yeah. I mean, even grinding the teeth. You know what's sad is sometime in the last few years, I changed where if I have like 1 or 2 beers in the evening, I will grind my teeth in my sleep.
It's because you're old.
Yeah. So if 2 beers can make me grind my teeth, fucking MDMA will make me grind my teeth into powder.
You just need to man up. You know, it's possible there's a ghost slapping you over and over in the jaw. Like the Bell Witch.
Using my mouth.
That too. Like Tim Watley in that episode of Seinfeld.
Yeah. Deaths have been reported due to increased body temperature and dehydration after using ecstasy. Following use, people often feel depressed and tired. It is sometimes taken in conjunction with other psychoactive drugs such as LSD, psilocybin, mushrooms, and ketamine, an act called candy flipping.
What?
I'd never heard of candy flipping before.
I think that's what Dean Corll used to do.
Baby, you want to flip some candy with me this weekend?
What does it mean, flipping candy?
It means taking in Molly in conjunction with other drugs like LSD, mushrooms, or ketamine.
I mean, is ecstasy one of these things where you're going to take it and you're going to get the desired effect for a few hours, but then after you're going to fucking hate yourself for a while?
Yeah.
For like a day or whatever?
It's like your brain snaps back in the, further into the other direction. You pulled it too far in one direction, now it's got to go back to feeling depressed and tired. Yeah, I don't need any help feeling depressed and tired. I'm just going to stay even Steven.
I'm depressed and tired right now.
Last note on ecstasy here. A number of ecstasy manufacturers brand their pills with a logo, often being the logo of an unrelated corporation. Some pills depict logos of products or shows popular with children, such as Shaun the Sheep.
Okay, you're going to have to break this down for me. Shaun the Sheep is on an ecstasy pill?
Yeah, I guess so.
Why?
Because it's fun, because you want kids to take it and get hooked on drugs so they can buy all your drugs and make you rich.
Ecstasy is a street drug, yeah?
I would never waste my drugs on a kid.
Right.
All right, you got number 8 and number 4 left, and they are prescription drugs.
Is hydrocodone?
Hydrocodone, yes, is number 4.
Okay.
It is also commonly known as Vicodin. It's been used by 3% of adults.
Recreationally.
Yeah, and it's an opioid. It's used to treat severe pain of a prolonged duration. Other measures are not sufficient. It's also used sometimes as a cough suppressant in adults.
Cough?
A cough suppressant. Yeah, one time, been a long time, but my wife was once prescribed liquid hydrocodone as a cough suppressant.
What a weakling.
I drank some of it, and...
Why? You jackass.
It was a long time ago. This is like before I had kids or anything. And I remember getting super sleepy. When I was falling asleep, I was like, oh man, wouldn't it suck if I didn't wake up? But I had not drank enough of it to do that.
Oh, you know what? I just thought of what number 8 must be. All right.
Okay. Well, common side effects of hydrocodone are nausea, vomiting, constipation, drowsiness, dizziness, lightheadedness, anxiety, abnormally happy or sad mood. I think abnormally happy would be good.
Yeah, what's wrong with that?
Dry throat, difficulty urinating, rash, itching, and contraction of the pupils.
Abnormally happy? I mean, what does that even mean? Because Mr. Rogers is happy. Nobody ever said he was abnormally happy.
I think
so you're even a level above that.
Abnormally happy sounds almost like it could be the Joker.
Yeah. No, that's what I'm going to.
Serious side effects include slow to irregular breathing and chest tightness.
Nope, that scares me.
Several cases of progressive bilateral hearing loss, unresponsive to steroid therapy, have been described as infrequent adverse reactions to hydrocodone misuse.
Going deaf?
Yeah. And had heard this before from Dr. Drew, who works with in addiction medicine. And he said that like people who use hydrocodone or Vicodin, they use it and get addicted and have to take more and more pills. And then sometimes just all of a sudden they are like someone flipped a switch and they are stone deaf. And it cannot be treated at all.
Say no more. I don't want it.
Yeah, there was some science on how it affects the auditory nerves, but I didn't think it would make for hot podcasting. Hydrocodone can be habit forming, causing physical and psychological dependence. Its abuse liability is similar to morphine and less than oxycodone. So yeah, that's all I know about Vicodin, other than I was under the impression it was like an upper middle class white lady drug.
Well,
it's for everyone, even kids.
Don't quote us on that, but yeah, it's for kids.
All right.
Is number 8 cough syrup, or is that considered hydrocodone?
No, it is not cough syrup, and I don't see... No, there's not another cough syrup type thing on here. Let me read you 25 through 11.
Okay.
Number 25 is ketamine, a hallucinogen. Number 24 is oxymorphone, which is an opioid. Number 23 is DMT, a hallucinogen, the God drug, the God compound.
Why is it called that?
DMT is a chemical that your brain naturally produces in the center of your mind, and people who do DMT have intense hallucinogenic experiences, usually with some kind of a higher power or something that they relate to God. 22 is carisoprodol, which I'd never heard of before. Soma, it's a tranquilizer. Number 21, methadone, an opioid. Number 20, lorazepam or Ativan, a sedative. Number 19 is morphine, the opioid. Number 18 is buprenorphine, an opioid that I had not heard of and obviously can't pronounce. Number 17 is heroin. Number 16 is zolpidem or Ambien, a sedative.
Ambien. Yeah.
Number 15 is Valium, a tranquilizer. 14 is clonazepam or Klonopin, tranquilizer. Number 13, methylphenidate or Ritalin, a stimulant. Number 12, methamphetamine, stimulant. And number 11, tramadol, another opioid.
Tramadol. My dog is taking tramadol right now. And Ritalin, I was prescribed to for most of my childhood. I don't know why I didn't think of that.
You had a spaz disease.
I did. Okay, so 8. I've heard of it, probably.
Yes, you've most definitely heard of it. It's a very common prescription drug, and I'll give you a clue. It's commonly prescribed to treat short-term anxiety.
Oh, Lexapro?
No.
I mean, there's a word for it.
Alprazolam, Xanax.
Yeah, Xanax.
Yeah,
that's the word.
Alprazolam, Xanax is number 8 on the list. 2.05% of adults have fucking partied down with Zanny the nanny.
You know, fucking, I mean, not to get on a real sidekick, but the fact that Casey Anthony, the woman who killed her, well, who got off on killing her child years ago, the fact that she said the kid was babysat by Zanny the nanny on day 1 of the investigation is like, case closed. I don't need to hear anything else.
I didn't know, like, it didn't click with me for a long time. And then I remember because my wife and I followed it pretty closely. She especially followed it closely. I remember when I told her, like, Xanax, Zanny the nanny. We were both like, oh.
Yeah, it's like so obvious what happened when you hear that.
So Xanax is a short-acting tranquilizer of the, I'm going to try to say this, triazolobenzodiazepine class.
You know what?
It's a benzo.
Fuck that shit. Whoever named that shit.
So most commonly used is short-term management of anxiety disorders, specifically panic disorder or generalized anxiety disorder. I have been prescribed Xanax in the past for generalized anxiety disorder.
Congrats.
Well, I will get to that here in a moment. Alprazolam is usually taken by the mouth. I never butt chugged any of my Xanax. Its common side effects include sleepiness, depression, headaches, feeling tired. Isn't that the same thing as fucking sleepiness? Dry mouth, and memory problems.
You should have tried it in the butt.
In 2018, it was the 37th most commonly prescribed medication in the United States, with more than 20 million prescriptions.
Wow.
Alcohol is one of the most common interactions with Xanax. Alcohol and alprazolam taken in combination have a synergistic effect on one another, which can cause severe sedation, behavioral changes, and intoxication. The more alcohol and alprazolam taken, the worse the interaction. Yeah, once we were going out for a friend's birthday, and I had been prescribed Xanax, and didn't give any thought because I was a early to mid 20s moron about it'd probably be bad to have beers on top of this. We went out for my friend's birthday, and I don't remember anything from it other than, but I was told later that I had words with some big biker guys.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's a wake up call. Don't mix your pills and your booze unless you're at Burning Man.
What did you say to the big biker guys?
I don't remember. Something about being bitches or something. They were playing darts or something. I can't remember.
They didn't beat your ass?
No, they knew I was just drunk and stupid. I was forgiven.
Well,
that's a lot of my interactions with people in my 20s. Is they knew I was drunk and stupid.
What's your excuse now then, right now, today?
Nobody knows I'm drunk and stupid. Alprazolam is one of the most commonly prescribed and misused benzos in the United States. A large-scale U.S. government study found that in the U.S., benzos are recreationally the most frequently used pharmaceuticals due to their widespread availability. They account for 35% of all drug-related visits to the emergency room or an urgent care facility.
Wow.
And the number of emergency department visits due to benzos, and I realize that these years are a bit in the past, but just speaking to like the increase, the market increase in the use of prescription drugs, the number of emergency visits due to benzos increased by 36% between 2004 and 2006.
Wow.
So that was 15 years ago. Because fucking party time. In fact, 2004 to 2006, I think somewhere in there is when I had my run-in with my blackout with those bikers.
You kicked it off.
It was all me.
Those bikers saw you and they started talking later and they're like, that guy was a jackass in the moment, but
This poor guy's got a problem.
In hindsight, it looked kind of fun. Maybe we should start doing these drugs and telling everyone we know to do it too. And so you started this percentage increase.
I've always been a trendsetter. Let's go through these top 10 most popular, most commonly used recreational drugs in America. Number 10 was LSD. Number 9, MDMA. Number 8 was Xanax. Number 7 was OxyContin. Number 6, cocaine. Number 5, Adderall. Number 4, Vicodin. Number 3, marijuana. Number 2, tobacco. And number 1, alcohol.
Number 2 was tobacco, and number 3 was wacky tobacco. Am I right?
The devil's lettuce.
Yeah. Well, now I know which drugs to try and in which order. So thank you.
You're welcome.
And don't do drugs if you're listening.
Well, just one time if you've never tried it before.
But in a safe, controlled environment and not when you're driving or with children.
Let your children drive.
So let's wrap up real quick with some podcast reviews. First from Paul on Apple Podcasts. Paul says, discovered the show via Twitter and love it. What a great idea. Well delivered and with a nice dash of humor, added to genuinely interesting discussions. It's well worth your time.
Thanks, Paul.
I like right in the middle there. What a great idea.
Twitter must not be worthless.
Yeah, it's good for something. It's also good for following me at the Nick ML.
It brought Paul into our lives.
What would we do without Paul? Paul, thank you. And next from DB Hodgetts on Apple Podcasts. Excellent show! For anyone interested in cool, obscure facts and a variety of subjects, really enjoy this pod. Do you think they regret that recommendation based on this episode today?
Hell no. I think this is going to be a classic.
So you would classify butt-chugging facts and figures as cool facts?
Yep. It's going to be our next merch is going to be some ancient Mayan guy with his knees behind up to his ears and a gourd sticking out of his ass.
I wonder, the body elves. Brandon believed as a child that there were body elves inside his body controlling his bodily functions.
Man, your body elves would be so fucked up if a gourd started coming in there at him.
The body elf that gets the duties that are near, like, the rectum.
There's little elves all trying to hold your asshole together. Hold the line! Steadfast, boys!
The ones down there... there's like a new adventure every day with the ass, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the body elves have seen everything from the beginning of time.
Getting smoke blowing at them.
Yeah.
Gourds filled with alcohol and psychoactive substances.
Yeah.
You gotta be on your toes.
They've seen some shit, literally, am I right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, to all the body elves out there and to you, the listeners, we want to thank you for listening. And we'll be back next week with the big episode 130. We're doing a Q&A episode next week. By the time you hear this, it's too late to submit your questions, but it's coming. We're going to answer listener questions next week on episode 130. And what is the date today? This is coming out on April 28th, 2021, which means you'd have like 3 days left to get a free month at patreon.com/tennispod. So shit or get off the pot, now or never. It's time. Go to Patreon, get that free month.
Hell yeah, do drugs.
Hell yeah, don't do drugs. Goodbye.
Bye.